ritual around it. And I think that's why that's the main, I mean, a couple things. Like one, coffee is the most pesticide and chemical sprayed crop in the entire world. So I'm really big on being organic because it's really, you need to be. But you can kind of create this little ritual and try different coffees and different roasts and different roasteries and then different types of like collagen you could put in or creams and everything like that. I'm big on coffee. And then the next thing is nutrients. So like I'm a big fan of a greens drink. I think that I fill up a big thing of water and I put powdered greens in it, right? Squirt some lemon juice in there. And it's like first thing in the day, you're getting a ton of nutrients, enzymes, vitamins, minerals, all these different things in your body that you probably wouldn't get. You feel energetic right away. Your body wakes up. You're getting that metabolic release from chugging cold water first thing in the morning or warm water, however you like to do it. So I'm big on that. And it just is kind of a placebo effect as well, right? If you start your day with an extremely healthy habit, I can guarantee you're going to pick better options for food and exercise and movement throughout the day. I can guarantee it. The next thing is gratitude. So I'm big on gratitude journal. So I write in my gratitude journal every single morning, 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for. One self affirmation. So I am blank in all capital letters. So it could be I am, for me, like I can write, I am a great father. I am an expert in the fitness industry. I could like, you can write whatever you want to be or that you need to build confidence and certainty around. But I'm huge on self affirmations and gratitude. And then I do something called positive focus as well, which is basically pick a situation that recently happened, good or bad, find the positive in it, and then decide what the lesson is behind it. So every single morning, I write what I'm grateful for. I write a self affirmation, and then I also find a positive thing, or pick a situation, find a positive thing in it, and then learn a lesson from it. So I'm huge on that. I'm big on movement in the morning too. So it could be yoga, could be going on a walk, could be like some air squats and push-ups. It's just do something to wake your body up first thing in the morning. Like you got to do something. And then last but not least, meditation. So just even if it's just a couple minutes, but for me, 5 to 10 minutes of like laying down. I usually do it. I usually do it in the middle of the day, or I do it in the morning with my daughter now. And I'll just she gets really comfortable just laying on your chest. So I'll just lay her on my chest and I'll put the music on and just meditate for 5 minutes, just running mantras through my head, doing belly breathing. But I mean, if you could do those 5 things in the morning, I can promise you can get it done in 20 to 30 minutes at most. I even add reading in there because I think it's like knowledge is power. So if you can learn something in the morning as well. But I mean, shit, I spend the first hour every single day of my day dialing in those things. And I can honestly say that it contributes a ton to my success.
So I've heard that's one of my things on the podcast. I say way too much. I'm highly critical. But the affirmations, I've heard people talk about them. Do you revisit those like later on and kind of see if you write something down repeatedly, or like what do you do with that after you write that down?
I think that for me, it's more about like writing it until I'm confident with it, right? Like during the pregnancy, I wrote, I am an exceptional father over and over and over again, as if I was already a father and as if I was already good at it. Because I'll be honest, I was scared. I was scared about finding balance. I was scared about caring for another human being. So for me, I wrote that over and over and over and over again. Once I had my daughter, it was obvious. I would do anything for her. So I just found myself naturally moving on to a new affirmation. I write, I am an industry leader all the time, because that one, I am confident as hell that I will be. But I mean, the fitness industry is a massive place. It's a huge world. So to me, I want to be on a stage speaking to thousands of people someday. And I know if I can write, I am an industry leader over and over and over again, then I will be more confident, right? But I mean, eventually that'll dissipate, right? I think that like I have clients that write, I am sexy and lean, because they need that positive affirmation that they are, like, they accept their body, whether they are overweight or not, because some people don't need to be overweight to hate their body. There's plenty of people with body image issues, but just writing that over and over and over again until you truly believe it. And I mean, that's what a lot of people do it's what I do during meditation as well, right? Saying self-affirmations, self-mantras, talking about accepting yourself, appreciating yourself, loving yourself, forgiving yourself. Like, I think that's huge. A lot of people do not see success because they are self-sabotaging themselves and they have beliefs. So I'm huge on that. And I think it's just about writing that affirmation until you truly build certainty around what you're writing.
That makes a lot of sense to me. there was something I was listening to today, and everybody seems pretty big on the affirmation. I know Ben Greenfield talks about it. Some of the On It guys talk about it, and it's just I've never implemented that, but I was always curious to see how you would revisit it, or if you move on from certain things and that kind of how it works in the everyday life. You said you were trying to speak in big, they have fitness giant expos or anything. Are you a big expo guy, or do you kind of stay in Seattle and do what you have to do up there?
For the last 4 months, I haven't traveled at all just because of the baby, right? I was like 2 months before, 2 months after, I'm not going anywhere. May 5th is going to be my first time traveling in a while. I'm going to DC for a mastermind. But I mean, last year, I think I was in Vegas 4 times, California 6 times. Like I travel a lot for fitness events, just masterminds, weekend seminars, things like that. I've done a couple nutrition seminars myself. I've done a lot of webinars. I haven't had the opportunity to speak in front of tons of people yet, more smaller groups, less than 100. But I mean, the goal would be to be at these huge events, man. Not necessarily an expo, but more like a seminar where it's like a crowd of people sitting down. Expos are usually like there's a ton of booths and all these different things everywhere. Whereas, I mean, even like one of my mentors, Jason Phillips, he runs a very, very successful nutrition coaching company, education company, a bunch of different stuff. He's doing a big seminar event in December, I think. And I already texted him. I was like, next year, 2019, I'll be speaking on that stage. And he was like, dude, I have no doubt. So that's like for me is what I'm working towards right now. And honestly, the next step is like getting on as podcast as I can, just preaching my message. I'm doing a webinar series that, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people are going to see. Luckily, I'm just getting interviewed on gut health and then hundreds of thousands of people to see. So I'm not standing in front of them talking. But I mean, that's another thing is like there's going to be doctors on a panel with me, which is just insane to think about that I'm going to be up there with them talking about fitness. So I think it's just, I mean, again, I wrote blogs for 6 years before a big business. So I plan the same thing with this.
That's freaking awesome. Gut health, you're going to be talking about it. So I guess I can pick your brain a little bit on that. Are you a big like probiotic kombucha fan, trying to get all those healthy probiotics? Or what do you think some of the biggest little things that people can do for gut health to kind of clean up their diet? I know refined sugars and complex carbohydrates are big, but what are some little things people can do out there to kind of clean up their gut health?
Man, one of the biggest things is actually reducing stress. I mean, if we talk about like serotonin, dopamine, all these different chemicals and hormones in the body, a lot of them are very involved, if not starting inside of the gut. A lot of people have so much stress. That's actually why they have these gut issues. And I think if they can reduce stress, they'll see a drastic difference in gut health. It would be probiotics, yes, but actually from whole foods. So I recently interviewed a guy named Dr. Zach Bush, who is huge on this stuff. And what he has found is that like if we take a probiotic supplement, it has 2 or 3 different types of bacteria and billions of milligrams or whatever, and international units I think that they're in. But anyway, they have a ton of these different 2 to 3 bacteria in large quantities. But there's a lot more bacteria out there that are considered probiotics that can help create diversity in your gut. So when we talk about gut health, you shouldn't be sticking to 2 to 3 types of bacteria. You should be trying to get 10, 11, 20 different types of bacteria. And the only way to do that is actually through real food. And a lot of people don't like to do it because unfortunately you got to eat shit like kimchi and people don't like kimchi. So what I suggest to people is like, let's focus on things like kimchi. I think it's not wonton soup, miso paste, miso products in general. There's a lot of natural probiotics you can get, apple cider vinegar, like different things like that, cleaning up your diet, removing high pesticide stuff, focusing on grass-fed, grass-finished meat. Again, going back to coffee, if we look at coffee, the highest pesticide sprayed crop in the entire country. And I'm still somebody who gets Starbucks now and then, but if I can change 90% of my coffee to organic, like that's going to make a difference on my gut health. So instead of us trying to go out of our way to buy supplements and do all these little things, like change the minor details and you'll see a lot big difference. So going organic, staying away from processed shit, looking at probiotic based foods versus that. And then just again, just stress is huge for that.
Awesome, man. I know you have family time coming up, so I'll try to wrap it up here and coming up. So entrepreneur, super driven, busy guy, what relationship hacks do you have for all the entrepreneurs out there that devote so much time to starting a business? Like, do you have any little things that you implement weekly or daily to kind of keep your relationship good?
Yeah. Couple things. One, so the first one is appreciation text, right? And this goes not just for your significant other, but for everybody. So what, like, pick one person every single day to send a text to, just saying the words appreciate, love, or honor. And to me, honor means respect, like the highest form of respect. So you could say respect if you want, but basically you're just sending a nice text. So it could be my mom, my dad, my brother, my cousins, could be an old friend, could be anybody, right? But just say the words, yo, I appreciate you. And that can go a long way, right? And to use the mindset that you are doing it for yourself and not them. So you're not waiting for a text back saying they appreciate you as well. Like, that's not what this is about. It's about reminding yourself what you're grateful for, what you have in your life. But that is a huge thing. Just going out of your way, right? Or even like people who you don't have like huge relationships with yet, but you want to build relationships with. Send them a cool article that you think would relate to them. Send them a free book. Like, I've done that a bunch of times. Gift a really good book to somebody. Or even, again, sending a text or appreciation message just saying like, yo, like, I appreciate you for the content you put out, man. Like, do you write anything? As far as the significant other, it's the exact same thing, but in a creative way every single time. And I will be the first to admit that this got hard when the baby came around, because your focus completely shifts. But just leaving any note, man. Like, I've left like sticky note trails like around the house that just like randomly said like, I love you everywhere. So everywhere she went, because I knew her routine of like going to the bathroom, grabbing this, then going to the fridge, then doing this, then coffee, then the TV remote. And I had like all these sticky notes everywhere. Or like a great one for all the guys listening is writing on the mirror with dry marker eraser or whatever. Just writing a note on there. Like, it could be simple, it could be long, but I've done that plenty of times. So when they wake up and they go in the bathroom, they have a note on the mirror waiting for them. Leaving them in their purse, again, sending messages, doing anything you can to just leave something, right? Like, I think that can go a long way. It doesn't need to always be some fancy special thing, but I mean, even gifts, right? Like, and you can set a reminder for this shit too. I think people like, they're like, yeah, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to start doing that and appreciating. And then they forget. And I'm the first one to admit I'm busy as hell. So I will put reminders in my calendar to do that shit because I do care and I do want to do it. So I set a reminder for myself over a week ago because I knew I was going to be in Seattle next to this one shop that sells these one candles that she loves to buy candles. I bought these candles for her, right? And it was like this little thing, but it made her day. So like, going out of your way to do shit, man, I think it's just so undervalued, underrated. And if you can remind yourself to just do little things, like, that alone will change a relationship drastically. And it's so fucking easy to just send a text real quick, right? Or write on a sticky note. Like, it's not rocket science.
Now, you're a big Google Calendar supporter.
Yeah.
Is that your main kind of your organization? I've heard of different apps and stuff you can get to kind of keep organized and all that. Is that your big Google Calendar? And then did you get that from Rob Dyrdek?
I actually didn't, you know what I mean? But I love his work, but that's funny. I didn't know that he was big on that. I got that from, so I never was huge. I used to be the sticky, like, I would just have sticky notes in my fucking pocket. I would set like, I would literally have like 20 reminders on my iPhone that would just go off. But I was getting ready to hire an assistant, and my fiance was like, you just need to get Google Calendars so she can see what your day looks like. And I was like, fuck, okay. So I set up my day in there, and I was like, man, this is kind of nice. And when I sat down with the assistant, she was like, how do you do this? Like, your week is just chaos. It doesn't even make sense. So she went in there and arranged everything, color coded everything, adjusted. So I had like the time blocks of like, from this time to this time is calls, from this time to this time is the only time you can do emails and stuff like that. And it changed everything. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm a Google Calendar guy. And I section off everything. So Mondays is like literally the whole day is emails pretty much, because I just have a ton of clients checking in after their week. And that's basically like they send their weekly update form on Sundays or Mondays. But then the rest of the week, it's like I have like a couple hours in the morning, which is strictly content. I don't check notifications. I don't do anything. All I do is content. I just create things. There's a certain time block where I answer emails, and that's all I do. There's a certain time block where if I have sales calls or client calls or coaching calls, my assistant will put them in that time block because she knows when she sets up podcast interviews for my podcast, she knows that it goes on these specific days. So if you can just set up Google calendars and then just have an idea of time blocks of when you're willing to do stuff and don't go outside of that,